Chapter 2.
Submissively entreating her not to leave just yet a while, I cried, "Oh, thou highly exalted elfin queen! I should ever so much desire to look upon these courtiers which just now you made mention of. Oh, how I have been yearning for a long time for the opportunity to have a good look at sprightly and gaily arrayed courtesans. Although, if the truth be told, men nowadays pretend to jest at pomp and rank, but, for all that, I am perfectly well aware that such is merely a make-out. The inner core of their heart, I am quite sure, is still inclined to hanker after pageantry."
Perceptible mortal, I do delight to hear you talk in such a candid and sensible way. It evinces that your bringing up has been in the right direction. Just conceive, in a world like this is, so many variations in a like species. Is it consistent, feasible, or even possible, to do such a thing as to altogether abolish social distinction? The thing is utterly outrageous and entirely ridiculous. Follow me, will you, to the jutting floral plot underneath, where the long link path branches off from the topmost terrace, whereto I shall give instructions to my herald to summons thither together my liege courtiers. Then you'll be enabled to give a flat contradiction to the industriously circulated misconceptions which avers that no such things as fairies now, or ever did, exist. Well, the ignorance of mortals, on very many points, is distressing, painfully exasperating, and, to a sensible well-informed mind, positively intolerable."
When we arrived at the place indicated, Gismerelbrum stooped and plucked from the green sward a haystem, placed it between her ruby lips, producing a shrill piping sound, which in a jiffy was attended to. And then, lo! As if they had, then and there, bounded out of the bowels of the earth, a troop of fairies were before my eyes. They all in concert made a low obeisance to Queen Gismerelbrum, which she, with an imperious bend, most graciously received. Then, in the first place, she commanded to nearer approach her person 5 of her titled maids of honor, calling them one after the other respectively by name, which were, if I remember aright, Isilde, Corinta, Cerbine, Istral, and Borbis. Each of these were most beautifully draped in light refulgent robes of a gossamer-like texture, fringed with gold edging, and flecked with delicate clots of azure, with light coral chaplets on their crowns, from which swept, pending to as far as the loins, in minute undulations, their auburn-tinted hair. They were exceedingly pretty, I thought, but of that peculiarly in contrast to any mortals. Afterwards, I was introduced to the Lord Chamberlain, Master of the Rolls, Almoner, Gold Sticks, and other potent dignitaries, who also were gorgeously equipped. Lastly, I had the honor of being presented to Tipwip, the court jester and dwarf, whom I had the utmost difficulty to properly distinguish, being, as I calculated, little bigger than an eardrop. However, he bore himself with an air of imposing hauteur, and indeed, a little later on, I ascertained that Tipwip really was rated as the most notable in all the Queen's household, a regular all-round sort of attendant, holding the combined offices of jester, tipstaff, archer, and alchemist-in-chief. At times, in the ordinary affairs of mortals, playing the very deuce, such as causing them to love to distraction, that which without his influence, they should have positively abhorred, and loath that which they would have loved, misplacing movables, chattels turning upside down, making honey sour, milk acrid, and vinegar sweet. In short, doing all sorts of madcap mischievous things, for the amusement of the august court. No sooner did the lowering of the mace declare the reception ceremony over, than the Queen signified that it would be her pleasure for Tipwip to delight the company with a song, to which, with the utmost alacrity, Tipwip, with this, as under, complied.
The moon is in the carry, the dew is on the blades, our couch is nice and airy, beneath the leafy blades. But what still does most thrill our bosoms with delight is that our gracious fairy queen presides o'er us tonight. No more winds arctic chill us, quite balmy is the air, under the weeping willows, to maidens, swains love declare. But what still does most thrill our bosoms with delight is that our gracious fairy queen presides o'er us tonight. all look serene and glad, oh, by hedgerows, dells, and brakes. Fair Egmont throws her shadow, deep in the sleepy lakes. But what still does most fill our bosoms with delight is that our gracious fairy queen presides o'er us tonight.
This song of Tipwip's was received with thundering claps of applause. Every one of the courtiers, and sundry other attendants, joined with hearty enthusiasm in the refrain. Of a truth, I myself was more than once during its execution, on the eve of putting in my own voice in the exhilarating strain, but wisely, I think, forbore, concluding that it would not very well harmonize along with any of theirs. Following a brief interval of general conversation, several of the princely courtesans, as if with one accord, commenced to chant, with lively measure, these few lines given as under.
We are folks jolly, who scorn melancholy, and never a wrangle e'er causes a strike. Aye, we are the fairies, controlling the dairies, and turns from the churn any butter we like.
For some reason or another unexplained, the Queen Gismerelberum declined to give her approval of the above, and shortly following commanded music to be struck up for a dance. Was I not surprised to note the loyal and ready compliance of these puny aerial forms? Lo, the pleasure of their sovereign, thought I, could hardly have been fully communicated ere all the midget partners were promptly in their places. Then, at once, the enlivening music struck up, which set the whole concourse in rapid motion. The lightning speed, like to sparks from an anvil, in which these most clever, dainty aerials went twisting and twirling through the intricate and sinuous evolutions, dazzled me with profound amazement. I had never in all my life imagined that anything short of a cannonball could attain to the like velocity. One moment, beheld them in circles, another in curves, another in columns, and another again they deployed into lines, and, throughout all, not the slightest hitch whatever took place in all their puzzling maneuvers. It is not sufficient to say that I was deeply engrossed, I was infatuated beyond expression.
Mortal, what think ye of our revelries?
Her Majesty deigned to ask. Incomparably clever. Incomparably clever, I bewilderingly repeated. Overcome, at length, with the strain which such a giddy spectacle produced, I betook myself apart to rest and to restore composure. Ah, me! I then ponderingly said to myself, after what this night I have been a conscious witness of, can I ever think otherwise than that nature places before our eyes, things perhaps, not one half of which is discerned? Up till now I could never conceive that two distinct kinds of people are living at the same period, and in the same place, and one of them to be unenlightened of the presence of the other. While thus astride on a log, deeply meditating, the dwarf came briskly towards me with a sort of bouquet, no longer than a tintack, in his hand. Inhale this grateful aroma, said he, putting it to my nose, and from thence consciousness with me for the time was suspended.